What is up, everybody? Pappy here, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the new mini TWAB sandbox update kind of post that Bungie put out, and it's the Bring the Thunder inside Arc 3.0. So 4 hours ago, the Destiny dev team put out this. I did not see it earlier. I checked really early this morning, but I didn't see it, and I didn't think they were going to put one out till tomorrow. So I kind of missed the ball on that one until I saw everybody posting about it. Bring the thunder inside Arc 3.0. Okay. Like the inevitable lightning that follows storm clouds, Arc 3.0's time has finally arrived. In 2022, the original trio of elemental subclasses that power Guardians in Destiny 2 has been undergoing a major overhaul. Void was the first subclass to get the 3.0 launch with Witch Queen and expansion Season of the Haunted. Welcome to the Solar 3.0, and soon it'll be time for Arc Wielders to receive their respective upgrades. Literally next week, guys, on Tuesday. The Destiny 2 development team has been hard at work on the subclass revamp, making sure that the new version of the Arc subclass brings the thunder. So, dude, if y'all haven't yet, which, it really doesn't matter at this point, I guess, but if you look at my Arc 3.0 video, my speculation video, you're going to notice that I mentioned a lot of the stuff in here. They used different words and different references, and the abilities work differently than how I had imagined, but they are very close to what I had imagined. It's pretty neat. So let's see. Like the inevitable lightning that follows storm clouds, Arc 3.0's time. Oh, wait. Already read all that. Having led subclass redesigns with Void and Solar, the team has spent a great deal of time zeroing in on the essence of what a subclass revamp is all about, making sure that every aspect of gameplay and every ability and feature fits into the player fantasy. To get there, it all starts with inspiration. Arc is really just go fast and hit stuff, Destiny designer Sam Dunn says. When asked about the core fantasy that powered the Arc 3.0 revamp, we call it the Hold W subclass, which is just amazing. Hold W subclass. I mean, dude, it really is. The Titans especially, like, man, we're just going to be going forward and punching, and slamming, everything. Okay, everything is built around moving forward and enabling aggression with those abilities. Aggression, let's go. So, powering that high speed, high impact goal. I'm going to skip this one a little bit, but basically it's inspired by Emperor Palpatine, Crank 2 high voltage. That's the goal, is to make inspired by those kinds of things. You live on the edge, push forward constantly, getting charged up, and beating the tar out of your opponents. Those Guardians who have spent time with the revamped versions of Void and Solar would Stasis, for that matter, know the basics of where to begin with Arc 3.0. I mean, I know I wasn't the only Arc 3.0 speculation video, but if you combined everyone's thoughts about Arc 3.0 and what we thought it was going to be, I imagine you could probably put together this entire list just with everybody's thoughts. Arc 3.0 will give players more flexibility over customizing their Guardians' powers to suit their playstyle through the introduction of aspects and fragments. In addition, new and returning class and melee abilities have been built or refactored for the modern Destiny 2 sandbox, making the subclass more powerful than ever. So, lighting up new abilities, oh boy, here we go. Before we dive into the class-specific Arc abilities, let's talk about the buffs and debuffs that are key to Arc 3.0 experience. First up is the new buff, Amplified, which is the key to the Arc 3.0 experience. An Amplified Guardian is faster both in terms of movement speed and in terms of their weapon handling, and more agile, able to perform long slides that can function as a devastating setup for some of the attacks to follow. Unlike other damage types, Void's Invisibility or Solar's Radiant, players don't need to equip any specific aspects or fragments to become amplified. By default, all Arc classes become amplified after rapidly defeating targets with any Arc damage, and equipped aspects and fragments offer additional ways to become or benefit from being amplified. Now, after sprinting for a few seconds, an amplified Guardian will gain another boost in speed, as designer Mike Humble put it. Basically, as fast as we can make our sprint animation go, which is just wild. They're pushing like the limits of their hardware, their software, their programs, their game engine. They're pushing it to its limit uh, with how fast you can run as a Titan or as a Warlock or as a Hunter. This is amazing to me. I cannot wait to play this. Getting a sizable PvE damage resistance buff and enabling an even longer slide ability. Imagine full-on Metroid speed booster mode, only now Samus is wielding Yallarhorn. Even if a player is no longer amplified, as long as they keep sprinting, the speed booster buff will stay active. So this is just amazing. In development, Speed Booster probably took the longest for me to get on board with, in that you were already moving much faster to begin with, said Humboldt. When asked about the process of developing and refining the verbs for ARC 3.0, adding PvE damage resistance to Speed Booster to submit it as a strong gap closing tool and seeing it being used to move them from one cover to the next in playtesting really brought it all together for me. You start sprinting and then you hear this audio start to swell up and to come up and then you're like a jet engine rocketing around the arena. It's amazing. It's awesome, he says. So, I mean, that's, to me, that sounds like you're going to be hearing that like build up of electricity kind of build up. If you have ever really kind of like listen to electricity and hearing it charge up, I imagine your sprint is going to sound like that when you get the speed booster. It's just as you keep going, it's just going to keep getting louder and more powerful. Maybe not so much to be annoying, but you're going to feel like a jet engine. Like you're like a jet engine rocketing around the arena. It's awesome. Like, I cannot wait to do that. That sounds so cool to me. Now, on the debuff side, ARC 3.0 is bringing two to the party. We got Blind and Jolt. Blinded opponents in PvE, but by the way, Amplified, Blind, and Jolt, all of those are points on stuff I mentioned in my ARC 3.0 video. So I'm just going to go ahead and mention it now. Either sometime later today or tomorrow, I'm going to be putting out a what I think the second Darkness subclass is going to be like. And if I'm getting a lot of this right, you guys might want to check out that video because, I mean, who knows? If I got this right, I might get that right too. So check it out when it comes out. Oh, I lost it. So, Blinded Jolt. Blinded opponents in PvE won't be able to see naturally. And will also be disoriented and unable to fire their weapon. In PvP, blinded opponents will have their screen whited out and their HUD removed for a short period of time alongside a distorted, washed out audio effect. Jolted opponents who are damaged will periodically send out slivers of chain lightning out to nearby enemies, damaging them in the process. So cool. So, ARC 3.0 Ionic Traces, which are previously only available to Middle Tree Warlocks, now available to all classes will get Ionic Traces. Traces are objects that, when collected, will add energy for all your abilities. Now that you're familiar with the basics, let's jump into the classes themselves and see how they'll be making the most of ARC 3.0. So with Hunter, a Hunter dashing forward, crackling with the power of arc lighting, is a sight that is sure to strike fear in the heart of the enemy. As with previous subclass revamps, the team had definite images in mind when considering what the new arc should feel like in combat. For Hunter, the team imagined the graceful warrior monk, giving the Hunter the ability to get in close quarters quickly and effectively to make a mess of their opponents in the process. So for Hunters, we wanted to reward staying in close and being safe while you're in close quarters combat with an enemy, which is very difficult to do in a lot of our content, said Humboldt. We wanted to give them tools to stay alive while they either closed the gap or were in a melee combo. That came primarily in the form of giving them crowd control tools. So Hunters will now have really good like crowd control abilities, or at least more than just targeting like the one target like they used to be focused towards. To that end, the Hunter's Arc Staff Super is returning. With Arc Staff, Hunters will be able to block and deflect projectiles with the press of a button, as well as perform an armored dodge, where upon dodging, the Hunter is more resistant to incoming damage. So, on top of getting amplified and having that speed boost and getting that extra defense from that, your dodge will also increase your armor in that moment, and you can block more damage. So, you should be able to close the gap with the Hunter a lot easier now, both in PvE and PvP. Just one super didn't seem like enough to the team. Thus, the introduction of a brand new arc-themed super, the Gathering Storm. Here, the Junter leaps the Junter. Here, the Hunter leaps into the air, hurling their staff to the ground or into an unlucky enemy like a spear. Upon impact, the staff emits a damaging burst that jolts nearby enemies, so it's going to chain lightning to other nearby enemies and deal extra damage to them and all that kind of stuff. Soon after, a giant bolt of lightning strikes the staff and overcharges it, creating a large damage zone around it for several seconds. While overcharged, the staff sends out arcs of lightning to damage any enemies that have moved near it. On the melee side, the team kept the Hunter's combination blow ability, feeling it was right in line with the graceful warrior fantasy that they were going for. Kills with the combination blow will refund dodge energy, increase melee damage, and restore a small amount of health, allowing skilled hunters to chain their dodges and melee attacks into a balletic burst of beautiful fury. In addition, the disorienting blow melee returns, blinding opponents with a devastating palm attack, while now applying or amplifying the Hunter along the way. The Hunters will also have 3 aspects to customize their tactical styles, so this is what you'll get here. Flow state. Defeating a jolted opponent causes you to become amplified. When amplified, the Hunter's dodge will recharge faster and make you more resistant to damage. You'll have quicker reload times. Okay. So jolt an enemy, kill the enemy. You're now amplified. Your dodge is going to recharge faster. You're more resistant to damage, and you're going to reload faster. That's just wild. That's a lot of effects. Tempest Strike. This is basically just regular old Tempest Strike, but I'm thinking of the next one, Lethal Current. So Tempest Strike is basically the exact same thing, only they're adding jolting to its verbs on how it works. Lethal Current. After dodging, the melee lunge range is increased, and their next melee attack jolts the target, creating a damaging lightning aftershock. That's cool. And if you use the Arc Staff Super, after dodging, the Hunter's next light attack will hit twice. In addition, hitting a jolted enemy with a melee attack will blind them. So if they're jolting or jolted already, and you hit them with a melee attack, then you're also going to blind them at the same time, which will help you stay safe as a hunter. Finally, and of particular note, Arc 3.0 will also bring back the Blink movement mode for you Arc hunters. That is amazing. So Blink's coming back for hunters. That's going to be absurd. Just like old D1, that's going to be great. I don't play hunters, but I imagine that is such an exciting change. You won't need Mask of Bacchus only anymore. You'll have the ability by itself. So, in fact, the Blink ability will also include a baseline buff for any class that has access to it. Looking at you, Void Warlock. So I guess Blink in general is getting a little bit of a buff. That's pretty cool. Blink hasn't really been touched since Destiny 2's released, and never quite reached the heights of its previous reign of terror, Humboldt said. We felt like this was a good time to walk a few of the tuning changes back a little and bring Blink's potency at baseline without needing an exotic equipped. Warlock. Player fantasies don't come any more vivid than what the team had in mind for Arc 3.0 Warlocks. 2 separate images were the top of the mind. The Lightning Shaman and Emperor Palpatine in full Lightning Fingers mode while turning Luke Skywalker into burnt toast. We wanted players to feel like they are channeling the power of the storm through their bodies, said Dunn. Controlling the storm, controlling lightning like an elemental conduit. 2 supers will be available for Warlocks. Chaos Reach, where Players will be able to shoot concentrated beams of arc energy out of their hand to decimate opponents. The reason why this one sounds just a little bit different to me is like players will be able to shoot concentrated beams of arc energy out of their hand. I don't know. It just seems like multiple beams of arc energy. I really don't know. Maybe it's still the same. To decimate opponents. And Storm Trance, which is more akin to the image of Palpatine floating around the world and firing electricity from their fingers. This super combines both the landfall behavior of the previous bottom tier arc, creating a damage shockwave underneath the player, and ionic blink behavior from the old top tree. So they're definitely going to be bringing the two trees of warlock supers and just aspects and abilities and stuff into one class, one super instead of two separate ones. That can be said of each of these classes, Hunter, Warlock, and Titan. They're definitely trying to combine all the different abilities into one thing and then just dividing them up with aspects and fragments and supers. That can be said of all of the 3.0 subclasses. Okay, Warlocks will have 2 melees available, both utilizing the power of lightning. The ball lightning melee will send out a floating ball of arc energy that detonates, zapping enemies down from above. Chain lightning will send out arcs of lightning to strike and jolt the primary target, and chain damage to surrounding enemies in the process. The Warlock's whole thing is that being amplified modifies their abilities. It powers them up, said Dunn. For ball lightning, if you're amplified, the arc ball will fly out and zap enemies 3 times instead of just the normal 1. That's a lot. So 3 times instead of 1. It's not just 2, it's straight up 3. So you can get a lot more damage out of it. For chain lightning, it chains to more targets. More specifically, while normal chain lightning creates a single set of chains that bounce between a set number of targets, when amplified, the ability creates 2 sets of change and can now potentially jump twice the number of enemies. That's really cool. So the aspects for Warlocks: Arc Soul. The Warlock casts a rift to create an Arc Soul that will assist the player in battle. Allies who pass through the rift will also earn an Arc Soul. The rift charges faster when allies are near, so that's cool, encouraging some team play there. While amplified, any Arc Soul you have or gain is supercharged, increasing the rate of fire. This probably does not include if like a Titan is amplified and they go through the rift. They're probably not going to get this buff. This is probably just for the Warlock. Lightning Surge. The Warlock activates their melee while sliding to transform into a ball of lightning and teleport forward, calling down a field of lightning bolts at the exit point that jolts targets. This is super cool. So Lightning Surge, dude. So the Hunter, not the Hunter, this just sounds like a Hunter thing. The Warlock, you will slide and then use your melee. You will teleport in the form of a ball of lightning. And then once you finish teleporting, you will call down a field of lightning bolts at the exit point, and it's going to jolt targets. So it's going to like arc to other enemies and stuff too. That is awesome. Electrostatic Mind and arc ability kills and kills on a arc debuffed enemy. So anyone that's jolted or blinded creates ionic traces. When you collect ionic trace, you become amplified. So it's just an endless cycle of becoming amplified with the Warlock. So for Titans, oh man, I'm so excited to read this. Titans have, they're so cool to me. Titans, the fantasy for Titans in my head is just the absolute just train of beating the tar out of the enemy with all classes. Whether it's throwing your shield, throwing your hammer, or throwing your fist. And so this really does encapsulate the identity of the Arc Titan and amplifies it to like 11. It gives us some stuff you probably wouldn't expect. This is really cool. So Titans haven't been traditionally known as paragons of mobility, but with Arc 3.0, the team is shaking things up. The team had a couple of inspirations in mind with the Tartan Arc revamp: the lead with your fist bare knuckle brawler and the freight train. You don't get to move the Arc Titan, Humboldt said. They move you. The Titan's ultimate goal is to punch you in the face. So the Arc Titan's ultimate goal is to punch you in the face. So a lot of what we did for Arc Titan was try to figure out how we could facilitate fist to face contact as much as possible. That's so good. That desire to punch all the things manifests in a couple of devastating supers that are returning for Arc 3.0, Fist of Havoc and Thunder Crash. And again, this Fist of Havoc is probably going to be a combination of the top tree and the bottom tree together. And Thunder Crash will be by itself, but it's probably going to get a little bit of a buff due to both of these, due to the aspects and fragments and stuff. While the latter is practically unchanged from before, Fist of Havoc now has an adjusted slam radius that is halfway between top and bottom patsy. That's like I was saying. And the ground slam leaves a damaging field in its wake, while slamming from the air causes damaging AoE effect from the previous top tree. So you can do it from the air, you can do it while you're on the ground, and you'll have these different effects. That's cool. It's combining how they work. In the case of Thunder Crash and other abilities, uncoupling a class's abilities from the old subclass Diamond system will result in substantial buffs depending on how players use it. It's one of the intrinsic advantages that the new subclass 3.0 system brings to Destiny. When you start pairing them with different things, even though nothing is changed about the actual ability, they can end up getting significantly stronger as a result, because now they aren't locked to a canned set of perks that surrounded them. Hubbard said. Thunder Crash is a great example of that. It says again, like I was saying earlier. Okay, one of the biggest changes coming to Arc Titan is the new Thruster class ability. Oh, so instead of like a shield, we're gonna get a thruster. Okay. By double tapping a button while on the ground, the Titan bursts in their throttle direction at speed, performing a quick first-person evade comparable in distance to a hunter's dodge. Arc is the damage type that is about mobility. So if we were going to add mobility boost anywhere for the Titans, then it was going to be here. So that's so cool. We're going to get basically a hunter dodge, but you have to be on the ground and then push the joystick or the key in the direction that you want to go, and then double tap your class ability and you will use it. That's so cool. I wonder, it says about double tapping a button while on the ground. So I wonder if you get thruster class ability and barrier in the same thing, like can you use both? I don't know, it's hard to tell. For melee attacks, Titans will retain the Seismic Strike shoulder charge, which blinds enemies performing a Seismic Strike, while amplified increases the radius of the blind, and blinding effect will last longer. Ballistic Slam also returns, where players can slam to the ground after sprinting in the air, creating a damage explosion on impact. Those returning melees will be joined by a brand new charge attack known as Thunderclap, and if you check my Arc 3.0 video, you will see that I talk about Thunderclap there. This is amazing. This is super cool. Again, if you want to check out the second Darkness subclass speculation video, keep your eye out for either tonight or tomorrow. I'm going to put it out, and if I hit all these so far really, really well, then I'm probably going to have some stuff right on this other one, you know, just statistically speaking, I guess. So check it out whenever it goes out. Here, the Titan player holds the melee button and charges it up arc energy that can be unleashed in either a quick and powerful jab or held and built up to be unleashed in a furious One Punch Man style blast that will devastate an opponent. So it sounds like you can charge it up, and then up to a point you can just let go, and then you'll just do a little jab to one enemy. But if you charge it up all the way, you'll be able to do the thunderclap part. I don't know, that's what it sounds like to me. The charge state cannot be stored, so you can't just charge it up, run around, charge it up, run around, charge it up, run around, and then blast it, kind of like you do in Super Smash and you're playing with like Samus or Lucario, how you can charge it up and run around, charge it up and run around, and eventually just unleash the whole thing. This is not like that. You're going to have to charge it up from 0 to 100% in one motion while you're on the ground. You can only use it while you're on the ground too. 90% charged Thunderclap will one-shot Guardians PvP. That is just amazing. But it's balanced because you can't move. I wonder if you can like rotate around in a circle. So like the other subclasses, Arc 3.0 Titans will have 3 aspects to select from. This first one is going to improve your arc grenades, which is so cool to me because Warlocks have had these upgraded grenades for so long. I've been so jealous. I mean, I might get Armamentarium where I can have multiple grenades like that, but like none of ours are amplified. I've been wanting something like that for a while now. So, Touch of Thunder improve arc grenades in the following ways. Flashbang fires an additional blind impulse on the first bounce. So, the first bounce where it impacts the first time, it's going to blind. And then once it explodes again, it's going to blind again. So, that is just annoying. Pulse, when the grenade damages the enemy, it creates an ionic trace for the Titan. So, that's cool. You throw your pulse at them, and the ionic trace will come at you. The pulse grenade damages over time as the grenade lingers after impact. So the same functionality, it's just going to give you ionic traces. The lightning grenade grants an additional charge for the lightning grenade and jolts the target on the initial blast. That's cool. Storm grenade, this one is interesting. I read it earlier. So the storm grenade is going to create a roaming thundercloud that's going to move around and it's going to track enemies, similar to Silence and Squall Super that the hunters would use, firing lightning bolts at the ground underneath it. That's so cool. So, grenade boosted. Over here, we got Juggernaut. While sprinting with full class ability energy, the Titan gains a frontal shield that blocks incoming damage. When amplified, the shield is stronger. Once the shield is depleted by taking damage, the player's class energy is depleted. So this is amazing to me. So you could run with Juggernaut, run forward, and then right before your class ability is expended, when the shield breaks, you can use the new thruster class ability, consuming your class ability in the process, but you'll gain that one extra boost. So in PvP or even in PvE, you can run towards the enemy and then use your class ability. Like it's going to use the class ability partially, and it's going to create that barrier in front of you while you sprint. And right before you make it to the enemy, right before they break your shield, activate your class ability, and you'll perform that dash, and you'll close the gap that's left, and then you can finish them off with like a shoulder charge, or your super, or whatever it is you're running over there to do. Knockout. Melee kills trigger health regeneration and make the Titan amplified. So just get melee kills, you'll get amplified, and then you get all these other effects mentioned above. Critically wounding an enemy or breaking their shield increases melee range and damage for a brief period. Titan space melee becomes arc empowered while knockout is active. So similar to the solar base melee that Solar 3.0 Titans got. And to complement the class specific aspects, Arc 3.0 will introduce a suite of new fragments which offer new perks to build upon, as well as add bonuses or penalties to your Guardian's intrinsic stats. Here's a look at the few fragments to come. Spark of Beacons. When the player's amplified Arc 3.0 weapon kills will create a blinding explosion. Spark of Resistance. When surrounded by enemies, the player has increased damage resistance. Spark of Momentum. Sliding over ammo will reload your weapon and grant a small amount of melee energy. Sliding over heavy ammo increases the amount of energy granted, which this one's really cool because it's like a better version of the Titans, one of their abilities, where you could slide over a block of ammo and you would automatically reload your weapon with it. But this one is everybody can have it now, and you have increased slide due to amplified and the speed boost. Spark of Shock. The player's arc grenades will jolt enemies, so you could run Spark of Shock and Touch of Thunder and then use the lightning from the lightning grenades, and you'll have a huge jolting and chain lightning abilities with that little combination for Titans. In all, the changes that are coming with Arc 3.0 will give Guardians ways to bring the pain to enemies of humanity, while also letting players customize their Guardian to the way that they want to play. Fans will have their first chance to see Arc 3.0 in action during next week's Destiny 2 showcase, which is coming on August 23rd, starting at 9 a.m. Pacific. Check out Oh, sorry. Check out the showcase reveal page to learn more. See if that's actually something. Let's check it out. Okay. Destiny 2 showcase event begins August 23rd at 9 a.m. You can watch on YouTube, Twitch, or Bilibili. I have not heard of this. It has arrived as we prepare for fate to unfold. The people of the last city look to the stars, to us, for hope. And while we have triumphed in the face of impossible odds before, this time feels different. But if there is to be no escape, our story will be one of courage, one of legends. Join us, Guardians, and witness. I feel like that's a key word. The next chapter in Destiny 2. Oh boy, this is going to be fun. Anyway, guys, it's been me, Pappy. Again, check out the second Darkness subclass video I'm going to put out later. And also, when the Destiny 2 showcase happens, I won't be live, but I'm going to record my reactions to the video, and I'll post that later too if you want to watch some of the reactions. Anyway, guys, again, it's me, Pappy, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.